Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and Louis D'Souza here on this Monday, October the 15th, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, your first daily dose of happy for the day, and we hope you had a great weekend. I know I had a wonderful weekend. Louise and I went up north of here to Vermont to visit friends of ours at Mount Snow, Vermont, and just had a wonderful time. We took the ski lift up to the top of the mountain, and the views were just gorgeous, and oh God, I was just drinking it all, and it was wonderful. I had a great, great time. Louise was commenting afterward, Louis, that I had this huge smile on my face. So that's how I knew, besides that I felt good, that I was actually having a good time. You know what I mean? I mean, it was good. So how was your...
Sounds like a nice place.
Oh, it's a beautiful place. Absolutely beautiful. You have views for probably almost hundreds of miles in all directions. It's just really, really fabulous. So how was your weekend? Did you have a good one?
Yeah, it was great. It was a staying at home one, mowing the lawn, doing the garden kind of thing. It was great. Yeah. Lovely weather.
Oh, that's great. That's not something that you can always count on in London, so that's really good.
Sometimes. Actually, it rains less than people think.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay. How often does it rain? I mean, if you had to put like a quantity to it, how would you describe it?
I don't know what the real statistics are, but it only feels like it's like 10% it rains.
Oh, is that all? Oh, okay. Yeah.
But again, it often seems to rain when I'm asleep. So.
Well, that's a good way to do it. That's actually what Louise and I say is the ideal thing. You want it to rain at night, and then it's nice and sunny during the day, so that all the plants are happy because they got the rain at night.
We don't have to water the garden.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way to go, right?
And my wife's got green fingers, and it's really great. It's a lovely, lovely garden.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, well, that's my wife too. I mean, we have a gardening business, so yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So good. So we're going to take on a topic that we actually addressed recently, but you promised me today. Now I'm going to hold you to this promise, okay? But you promised me today this is going to be a different take on it, and I like that. I like any kind of different take on the main topics. But we're going to talk about health, and the law of attraction, and it's one of the big three. It's one of the three that people gravitate to the most, that make them think that they think most about when they're thinking about law of attraction. It's the thing that they ask about, almost a third of the time. So it's a pretty big one. You picked a good one, Louis. I mean, now the pressure's on. Can you handle the pressure? That's what I want to know.
I don't see any pressure, Walter.
Oh, okay. Well, there goes all the suspense. Oh, well.
I'm not going to rise to the occasion. I'm going to be myself, and that'll be the rise itself.
Well, that is a lot right there, actually. That's a really good thing. Hey, before we get into it, I want to make sure I get our promos in.
Excellent.
Right. So first things first, if you're not yet a subscriber, please do become a subscriber. The instructions on how to do it are on the homepage of our website at loatoday.net. Actually, most listeners, well, maybe not most, a large number of listeners probably know how to just find it through their podcast software and so forth, and all you're doing is looking for LOA Today. But if you're a little bit more technically challenged, like some of us are, well, that's why we put the instructions on the homepage at loatoday.net. So just go there. You'll find just nice big icons to click. You click the icon that's appropriate for your device, and it'll just walk you right through the process. So please do become a subscriber. And then once you're a subscriber, and for all of our existing subscribers, please take time to just post something about how you're listening to loatoday.net, because it's really helping in terms of building the listenership. And I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Right now, we're averaging about 200 listeners per episode. I want that to be at 10,000, and I want it to happen yesterday. So we're really doing a big push right now, and you're going to play a big role just by helping to put the word out there. The amazing thing. And Louis, this never amazes you because you're never amazed by anything. But the amazing thing is that when you put it out there like that, the law of attraction takes over, and it actually puts it into the hands of people you don't even know, people you've never even heard of, and helps get the word out in ways that you can't even see. All because you took the time to just post something on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram or any of your favorite social media channels. So please take a moment to share, because when you do, you're helping to not only build up our audience, but also have more people get access to their daily dose of happy. And that's what motivates me more than anything else. Just knowing that more and more people are getting the opportunity to get a little boost, a little bit of help and feeling good every day, because we all need a little bit of boost now and then. So there's our two promos for the day. Louis, I turn it over to you. Where are we going with health and the law of attraction?
Well, you remember I mentioned to you that I was a sick kid, and I struggled a lot with my health as a kid, and it was asthma, and I had a weak immune system, and because of that, I caught everything else as well. I had pretty much every one of the baby diseases. I had colds and flus often. I felt I was often sick, but I've spoken to my family and they don't remember to be a sick kid all the time, which I probably wasn't, but, the parts of you that, experience this kind of amplified because it was so serious. And I'll just recap something that happened to me when I was, struggling to breathe. You were going, and then you start at the bottom again. And, my sister, who was sleeping in the bedroom with me at the time, when I woke up, or when she woke up in the morning, I was awake all night. She said to me, "My gosh, Louis, I'm surprised you're not dead."
Oh, jeez, what a lovely thought.
So, that left an impression on me that it was, relatively serious. Where during the experience, I was just thinking of getting my next breath. I wasn't thinking about it. Serious. So it was a journey for me, and as I've mentioned before, I was pumped with antibiotics, and I'm allergic to tier 1 antibiotics. And I found a book on my mom's shelf that taught me how to do reflexology on myself, or body reflexology.
Did you say reflexology?
Reflexology, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And it was really great. I really enjoyed massaging my hands and feet. I found the lungs and massaging those, and they were painful, and they did get better, and my health got better, and it was really quite a journey. But the thing that really excited me and amazed me was the fact that I could do something for myself. Now, I'm planning to take time to build in my stories, to explain what I'm wanting everybody to get out of this podcast. And also how I looked at it then and how I looked at it now, how I look at it now.
Okay.
So first of all, anybody who wants to understand health and the law of attraction, that they're going to want, the kind of topic if it appeals to them, they're going to be wanting to improve their health in some shape or form. Now, health could mean mental health. It could be physical health. It could be emotional health. And I'm talking on all of those levels, and I'm going to break it down to its real basics, right down to the law of attraction and how everything kicks in.
Sounds good.
So when I was sick and I couldn't breathe a lot, all the rest of it, I was just in the middle of it, and I couldn't see the wood for the trees. I didn't see anything. I didn't know anything. You get dragged off to the doctor in a small town in South Africa, and he gives you antibiotics, when I still think today he should have given me one of those things you spray into your mouth. Those,
the
inhalers.
Inhalers, right, yeah.
And so I never ever got one of those, and I'm still today a bit confused why an asthma. And they never called it asthma, they called it chest trouble.
Really? Okay.
So I had chest trouble during my childhood, and I only know later on in the years to call it asthma.
Yeah.
So I was pretty blind about what was going on. Nobody said to me, "You create your own reality." Nobody said that your thoughts have affected everything that's happening to you.
Would have been nice if they had.
Nobody suggested that if you focus more on what you want, less on what you don't want, that could be a major solution. Nobody suggested to me that the only person who ever heals anybody is yourself.
Mm.
Okay. And all of those are real biggies.
Oh, yeah.
to overcoming everything. Now, there was, going back to my sauna buddies, one of them was really struggling, and he went to the hospital, and he had, they think, kidney stones. He had a lot of lower back pain, and he was feeling lethargic and all the rest of it.
Right.
And they did all the scans, and they couldn't find anything. And of course, at the end of it, they throw a label like fibromyalgia at him, which basically means the doctor has no idea what you've got. Okay. That's one of those.
That's the medical definition.
Yeah. One of those definitions of, it sounds good, but it means nothing.
I mean, it's cool. It has 4 syllables. It has crazy spelling to it. It must be medical, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds very technical. So I was discussing with him about what would you do in that kind of situation. So I said, if you've got pain, it's telling you something. And I remember you were saying this on one of the podcasts recently. It's saying what's going on in that area. Mm. Now, there is a strong link between lower back pain and financial strain. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that, but I would not be surprised. Although I have found that financial strain shows up in a number of different ways, but I could see that one being one for sure.
Yeah, I think when it gets to the more chronic stage, it lands up as lower back pain. So we were discussing a whole lot of aspects to this, and you could see when he was starting to realize that he was the only person who could heal himself, that his point of attraction could allow the right people to come in and give him the right things to help him, and the right information, etc. And I gave him one of the things that's helped me hugely for lower back pain and back pain, which is Egoscue. EGOSCUE, egoscue.com.
Okay.
Anybody wants to know, it's also on YouTube. So just to give you an example, I was doing a headstand in a gym, and one of the guys said to me, "Louis, I wouldn't do a headstand if I were you." And I looked up, and it was Ben, and this guy's a body alignment guy. And I looked at him and I said, "Well, why not, Ben?" He said, "Because you're all skew." And I knew I was skew. I knew my posture was skew. And he said, "You'll be able to stay up much longer. It'll be much easier, but get your alignment done first." But I said, "Yeah, I mean, how do you get this body aligned?" And I knew he was a body alignment guy. But, and I had learned a huge amount about my body over time. So I thought that not many people can teach me too much.
Okay, well, yeah, I understand the thought, because I've had a similar one at many times. I'm sure other people have too, but it's not a particularly productive thought. That's the problem with it.
It's not, but I was pleasantly surprised that somebody could teach me something.
That is good, yes.
So it was not that I was resistant to it. It was just that I hadn't, I've studied the body and health over many, many, many years and come to many understandings and changed many things about my health that I was appreciative massively that somebody could help. So I said to him, "I'm going on holiday for 3 weeks to Austria. Can you give me one exercise to do? And when I come back, I'll book in for a whole session with you." So he gave me one, and it's called the static back posture. And what it does is, if you're standing, you're straining the back. If you're sitting, you're straining the back. If you're lying, you're straining the back. If you're walking, running, whatever, you're straining the back. But if this one posture, you're completely allowing all the muscles in the back to relax.
What's that?
As I say, it's called a static back, and you can look it up on YouTube. Type Egoscue and static back, and you'll see the posture. Okay, so you take your legs, put it on a bed or something on a settee, and then you got your bum on the ground, you've got your head on the ground, you've got your palms pointing up 45 degrees away from the body. So your feet are 90 degrees to your knees down to your bum, 90 degrees, and from your bum to the rest of your body is all 90 degrees. So it's 100% 90-90-90.
Huh. Okay.
And you keep your legs hip width apart, and you keep them your toes pointing straight up. And in that posture, you allow all the muscles in your back just to relax. Okay.
Interesting.
So I did this when I went to Austria, and I had a lot of relief from it. Now, I'd overcome most, if not all, of my pain, but this brought a relaxation into me, a more of a relief and a release on a higher level. So the pain had gone, but now I was getting the alignment, which was bringing physical alignment, which was bringing the spiritual alignment, or the alignment as Abraham Hicks points out.
Okay, so you're getting all of it at once.
Taking the alignment higher up the scale.
Yeah.
And I was really appreciating it hugely. So when I came back from my holiday, I jumped into the class with a session with him, and it took 2 hours. And the first hour, he got me just to run on the spot, stand, relaxed with my hands at the side. And then he measured my hips, and my one hip was higher than the other one. My hip rotation was forward. So basically there was no S bend at the bottom of my spine. And because there's no initial S bend at the bottom of your spine, you don't get the cushioning effect when you walk. It's more of a jud. So your spine's hitting the ground and it's being pounded. So you got to get that lower S really curved first. So my rotation was wrong. My one hip was higher than the other one. My one shoulder was much higher than the other one, and my head was skewed. So he pointed all these out, took photographs, and he put it onto a computer with a stick man. And it throws out a menu of what exercise to do in what order and what time.
Wow.
And he makes you do them. And he worked me through them all. And by the time he was finished after the second hour, I was pretty much almost 100% aligned. My one shoulder was still slightly higher than the other, but that's about it.
Huh.
And I was blown away. It was so quick, so easy, and I did it myself. He just showed me how to do the exercises for myself.
Right.
Okay. Now, I'm not a big fan of going to chiropractors and osteopaths, etc., for a long-term solution. Okay.
Sure.
They're very good for a short-term solution, but you should be able to maintain that yourself and know how to maintain it. So
yeah, I agree. That's important.
That's one of the things that I find incredibly important is when I discovered that body reflexology book on my mom's shelf, it was so exciting for me to be able to do something for myself, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Empowering myself. And Egoscue empowers yourself to keep your alignment. With alignment comes less pain, more flexibility, more ease in the body. And the more ease you are in the body, the more you are happier, the more the mind is happier, etc. And the more the alignment Abraham Hicks always talks about comes into play. So the interesting thing was I just did it at home, the exercises for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back to him twice. And because I'd referred so many people to him, I never paid for another session.
That's nice.
Which was quite fun. Then he tweaked the menu twice, and I've never been back to him since. And I don't feel I ever need to ever go back to him.
Wow.
Okay. So what I'm trying to get people to understand is that it's important to empower yourself and to find methods that empower you to empower yourself and not make you reliant on other people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And even if you go to an osteopath, so what exercises can I do at home?
Sure.
Chiro, what exercise can I do at home? And, if you're one of these guys who take responsibility for the body, you're going to do it. And if you're not, you're going to go back and pay for another session, or you're going to be in pain, That's just the way it's going to be. So the interesting thing is alignment can be fixed from the physical perspective. It can be fixed from the emotional perspective by keeping happy, and then the better thoughts will come. And when the better thoughts come, of course, you can fix it from the thought perspective. More alignment can come physically, because you're only out of alignment and you're only got any physical ailment because of focusing on what you don't want.
Basic
Sounds
Abraham.
Simplistic. Basic sounds incredibly simplistic.
It does.
Okay. But I've come to understand it to be completely, absolutely true. So I think in Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh says to God, how long did you design the body to last for? Because these people live for this long, those people live for that long.
Mm-hmm.
And God says, well, we've designed it to last forever. And the interesting thing is if you never had a negative thought, it would last forever. Which
is a rather daunting thing to remember, because that means that we're doing it to ourselves. Once again, more evidence that I can't escape the consequences of my own actions. No matter what I do, I just can't seem to escape them, no matter what.
Said that about subconscious last time, and now you're saying, isn't it true? Isn't it true?
Or to put it another way, I just can't get away with anything.
Well, you know what the other side of the coin of that is, don't you?
What's that?
You now have total control.
This
You
is
now have
true.
total power.
This is very true.
You now can form and control and
That's a new feeling too for I think most
carve
people.
your life.
I mean, the idea that you could have total control, that's a new feeling. That's a new thought. That's a thought that, kind of breaks a lot of barriers because it's not what we're taught by most people in society.
Well, the evidence that we can't control it is quite overwhelming, isn't it?
It does seem to be, doesn't it?
It does seem to be, yes.
Yeah.
It does. So it's not that surprising that I imagine me, and most of the rest of the people on this planet didn't think this way. It's completely understandable.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's to be respected that many people aren't seeing it from this perspective.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, the way I look at it is every time someone even is aware of it for the first time is a major victory for humanity. Because that means we're one step closer to universally understanding this.
Yeah. So, can you hear my baby in the background?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like she's in total alignment right now.
Just close the door. Just give me a second. She must have bumped herself. My wife's with her, so she'll be fine.
That's good.
So yeah, I struggled with health. Now, Carolyn Myss would say I am a wounded healer. Have you ever heard that term before?
I have not heard that term. It's evocative. It kind of suggests the idea that you're getting better, which is I like that kind of approach where any kind of expression of getting better, that's a phrase I like because getting better is the right direction.
Okay, so she kind of plays out that there's two kind of healers. One is quite rare, and it's a healer that's always been able to heal from birth and has always been in alignment most of the time. Okay, and they haven't had any major physical problem that has spurred them to find healing and health for themselves.
Okay.
So they're what you'd call not a wounded healer, but just a straight healer.
Okay.
Now, a wounded healer is somebody like me who's been through a lot of ill health and struggle to improve their health and work through a whole lot of things to be able to help people with their health. I spent many years helping people with their health in my business. So people will come to me with overweight and many other things, but weight loss has been something that I've worked with quite extensively.
Okay.
And the wounded healer means that you've been wounded, and through learning how to heal yourself, you're now able to help others.
Makes sense.
So those are the two types of healers out there, and one is definitely more common than the other. The one that I am. And it was interesting because Carolyn Myss has quite an interesting ability, medical intuitive. So she'll just look at somebody and be able to see all the layers of all the stuff that's going on in their life.
Layers of it. Wow.
Layers of it in all different directions and things.
Wow.
Her ability is absolutely astounding.
Sounds like it.
A doctor would phone her up who she came to know over the time, who was quite into medical intuitives. And he phoned her up randomly one day and he said to her, I've got Mary here. She's 28. And Carolyn Myss said, stop. And she just said, she's had, she's had two miscarriages, and everything was 100% accurate.
Wow.
And that's all she said. And then, he would phone her up randomly when he was a bit stuck with a patient, and she would just ramble off all this stuff. And it was just incredible. All accurate. So, you get different types of healers.
Yeah.
And they all work from different angles in different ways. And for me, it's very important to understand that everything starts with the thoughts. because I like breaking it down that doesn't matter what you come to me with, the solution's the same for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And everything must, for me, go to its most base premise, and then from there you can work back outwards to the specific problem. But to me, it's very difficult for me to have any client now and say, okay, here's weight loss, here, take these shakes and do this, and have that exercise, okay, without explaining the law of attraction.
That's cool, though. That's good.
And I can't even say to them, come to my weight loss challenge. I used to run weight loss challenges, and I could never use those words anymore. So I had to change the name of Weight Loss Challenge to Healthy Active Lifestyle Challenge.
I like the variation. Yeah. Actually, I like that one a lot.
Yeah. And it's impossible for me now to say, we're gonna work on this weight loss program for you. No. We're gonna work on this healthy active lifestyle program.
Yeah, I like that a lot better. That's very good.
Yeah. And I have to sit down and teach them the basics of the law of attraction, because otherwise they're wondering why you're using all these strange words and why you're not focusing on their weight. Okay. Which is quite a challenge for a lot of people to turn the corner of, everybody else there I've got a solution for your weight loss problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Instead of saying, to overcome your challenges, we're going to focus on a healthy, active lifestyle. And it's not going to work if we push against what you don't want, which is the fat.
It's an appealing thought to hear, but you're right, because it goes so much against the grain of what we're used to that our minds rebel against it at first. On the one hand, we like it. On the other hand, we say there's no way that could possibly work, because that's not what anybody else says.
I know. And the whole law of attraction, the Abraham Hicks teachings, is starting to turn people's minds
around. It's having an influence. Way. Yeah, no doubt.
It's having a massive, massive influence. And I'm really enjoying watching that. I'm going to track you forward to an experience that happened to me now.
Okay.
There's a few. I'm just wondering which one to bring in first.
Pick the first one that comes to mind. That's usually the best.
Okay, so I was at home one day. Now, I've learned the energy technique called Jinshin Jitsu, and I had amazing results with it. And I'm hoping in one of our future calls to bring in my sister-in-law, who is what I call an expert in this healing practice.
Sounds good.
To talk about it, and it completely revolutionized my life. So to start off with, I think I've mentioned this briefly before. I was a co-host in one of the calls. So Jinshin Jitsu is just where you put your hands on the body and on two places, and you use your hands as jumper cables to get the energy moving between the 2 points.
Okay.
Points are the size of a tennis ball, so it's not very difficult to get hold of, and very, very effective. And I was given a little pamphlet about it, and it was a nurse pamphlet, so it was very short and quick and easy. And I had 2 warts on my foot, and they had stayed there for over a year, and I'd been to a doctor to have one cut out because it was very uncomfortable on the ball of my big toe. And it was really aggravating me, so I had it cut out, but it grew straight back again. So it wasn't of any value having it cut out. And then I held 2 points, which this little booklet told me, this nursing booklet, and I did it for about 15 minutes. It was probably about half an hour every day for a week for 7 days. And both of them vanished.
Wow, nice.
And I was like, what? I just held 2 points and they're gone. Yeah. I was like really, really, really surprised. Was it this or was it something else? Or, it must be this because nothing else has worked for me. And interestingly enough, my athlete's foot vanished as well. So I thought, wow, this really helped get the energy down the leg so that it can help heal everything. And it's like, this is so cool.
This is very good. Yeah.
And then I went to a one-day course which I actually run, as well as Astrid, if I bring her on in a future call, if she allows me. She really is probably the best practitioner, one of the best practitioners I've ever met. Really good at working Jinshin. She's got quite a good practice in England, yeah.
Okay.
And I went on the one day, and I was so full of experiences and things that were happening to me, and energetically, and then I was feeling this and feeling that, and all the rest of it, that I went straight to a 5-day. I didn't do the 1 days. I went straight to a 5-day, and I've done like 12 5 days now and 3 days. And just after my first one, my nose was skew. I was so badly in pain that if I bent my head to get into the car, I would literally be crying.
Oh, my, yeah.
Literally be crying in so much pain.
Wow.
Just bending that neck to try and get yourself in the car. I would try every method to lower myself.
Yeah, I hear you.
Just after the 5-day, and I went to another 5-day 6 months later, between the one and the other, my nose had straightened. I had no back pain anymore. And my facial features were much smoother and softer. There weren't any dark rings under my eyes anymore. My eyesight had improved by more than half. So when it goes on and on and on. Okay. But what I was doing, I was automatically waking up at 4:00 in the morning. Yeah. And from 4 to 6, I was doing Jinshin Jitsu in bed by myself, for myself. And I was so blissed out because of the contrast of the tension and the release of the tension. For the next hour that I slept from 6 to 7 before I woke up, was full of dreams and vivid experiences, and completely relaxed and completely harmonized.
Wow.
Most delicious experiences I've had for...
That would make it worth it to wake up that early. That sounds good.
Exactly. But I only did it for a year. And then it automatically stopped. And I never, ever set an alarm. It just automatically woke up at 4:00 every morning.
Wow. Huh.
So that was a big experience for me. And what I'm understanding from the Abraham Hicks teachings is that your hands can help bring relief and release to you. Okay.
Sounds like it.
And it worked for me, and it was good for me, and I know it's not going to work for everybody, and I know that there's different things that are going to work for different people at different times, and I really want to make that clear. I'm not saying this is one shoe fits all. All right. I'm saying that this is what worked nicely for me at the time.
But it's at least a shoe that many people would want to try on. It sounds like a good shoe.
Well, what I love about it is incredible simplicity. So it starts off, as I mentioned to you before, again, before I was a co-host on one of the calls I popped on. I think it was with Gold, that they teach you about the hands, like if you hold your thumb with your other hand, yeah, you harmonize worry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, have you ever seen babies sucking their thumb?
Yeah.
It's so they cannot worry so much. But it's usually not their worry that they're sucking their thumb.
Yeah.
They're sucking the thumb to help the mother calm.
Ah.
Which is quite interesting because there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, it does sound actually quite truthful. It does, yeah.
Because they wouldn't be worried if the family around them, if an apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. Yeah,
this is true. I mean, people don't realize it, but very young people are constantly taking their cues and signals from the older people in every single way, ways that you don't even notice necessarily, except when you see something like thumb sucking.
Which is interesting because the babies feel what you mean.
Yeah.
I haven't learned to hear what you're saying, which is all screwy most of the time.
Right. It's all
yeah.
or in the case of the mother,
yeah, I love it because then the next finger that they talk about is the fear finger. So when you point your finger at somebody, do what I tell you. That index pointy finger. So that's a fear finger. If you've got fear, that's the one to hold. Okay, now worry and fear are quite similar, so you kind of need to know which one to hold, etc. And if you don't know, you hold one and you feel how it feels, and then you hold the other one and you feel how it feels.
Okay.
Now, the middle finger is the anger finger.
I think we all knew that one.
Oh, yeah, we know that one, man. So, yeah. I was thinking of road rage.
Yeah, right?
Out the window.
Up yours, buddy.
Oh, dear. So, if you want a relief and release of anger, then that's the finger.
Probably not best done with somebody else, though.
When you teach your kids it's quite embarrassing, because when you get angry, they run up to you and hold you.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And you're like getting more angry to hold your little finger.
Look, Daddy, I'm angry.
And then the ring finger is for for grief.
For grief, okay.
So it's for every type and form and shape of grief. Don't try and limit grief to anything, whatever you're grieving for. Okay, so somebody died, obvious grief. You can hold that ring finger. I always remember the grief finger for being the one where the wedding ring is, marriage.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. Because grief is not the first thing we necessarily associate with a new marriage, or maybe for an existing marriage in some cases, but for a new marriage, it's usually not the first association.
Yeah. But it's something that, what do they say when you have a breakup? It's one of the most traumatic things that.
Oh yeah.
Moving a house, I think, and there's one other I can't remember the third one. Those three are the biggies. So you've got the grief one, and then you've got the ring, the little finger, which is the finger which is, when you're holding a cup of tea and that little finger goes up. Okay? When you're pretending.
Yep.
Or you're trying very hard to do something, but you're not succeeding. So we call it maybe the try-to finger or the pretense finger.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
So, if you just hold these fingers before you go to sleep, it could be of huge benefit to you. You're going for an interview, you can sit there and just hold your thumb while you're in the interview if you're worried. I find that I can hold my ring finger with my thumb, which is very good for breathing, while I'm driving. So there's lots of things that you can do, lots of things. But I just wanted to give you a brief overview of the 5 fingers.
Okay. And the 5 fingers fall into what discipline are we looking at right now? Is there a particular discipline?
We're looking at something called Jinshin, so it's Jinshin.
Oh, okay. So this is part Jinshin. Okay.
And you can find Jinshin Jitsu on the jinshinjitsu.inc. Jinshinjitsu.inc is their main website.
Okay.
There are break or factions, but that is the main. It's a fascinating story, and I'll probably bring it in briefly, or let Astrid do that if she wants to. No, we'll bring it in later. The story of how it started. It's quite fascinating. So, what I wanted to do is bring in the understanding that I've learned a huge amount from the body. I learned yoga. I've done Tai Chi. I've done Kung Fu. And I have improved my health endlessly. I had a pigeon chest. Do you know what they are?
I do not, no.
Chicken chest. It's when your chest sticks out.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've seen them, but some guys have got chests that really stick out, and some guys have got chests that really sink in. Okay? So I had it where it stuck out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And through all my breathing techniques, because I studied yoga breathing, which is phenomenal. You can get a huge amount of relief and release from all of this. Okay. I managed to get the cartilage to start coming into place. So you can imagine the cartilage sticking out and making my chest stick out. Okay. And then as I increased my lung capacity and all the rest of it, it was going in and in and in. And then eventually both cartilages were hitting each other right head on.
Wow.
Which pushed my spine out and was very uncomfortable. And then eventually the cartilage came in, and it kind of comes in at an angle for most people on an average body and how it should be, is where both cartilages are kind of in and pointing like 45 degrees out, and then it goes round to the rib cage. So I eventually got it all the way in and completely got my chest back to vertical normal, and of course asthma vanished at the same time.
So basically this played a major role in your ability to overcome the asthmatic condition.
That was completely instrumental in that. So learning to breathe helped completely overcome the asthma. So
yeah,
somebody taught me something. So I said to the guy, I said, I've overcome my asthma. And he said, no, you haven't overcome your asthma. You have grown into your asthma, but you haven't grown out of your asthma. So what do you mean? What do you mean? It's an interesting explanation he gave me. He said, growing out of it is solving it completely. That's overcoming it. Growing into it is finding a way around it so that you can still breathe.
Okay.
But you've still got the initial problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I realize that this is very true for a lot of sicknesses that people might have in their body. Okay.
Yeah.
And, they will find a way around the problem, but they don't fix the problem.
Yeah, well, I think we all have experiences with a lot of different programs and so forth that do exactly that. They treat symptoms. They treat the symptomology of it, and the root cause may not go away, but you
take a tablet.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't feel the headache anymore, but the underlying problem's still there. You
exactly.
just pain receptors.
Yep.
Yeah. So, totally overcoming it was fascinating and very, you get a lot of relief and release from it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're looking at the law of attraction, you're looking at focusing more on what you want, less on what you don't want. So when I was studying with breathing, I'd completely forgot about my asthma. It wasn't an issue. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was completely, totally focused on increasing my lung capacity, strengthening my lungs, holding my breath for longer. I could swim underwater, the 50-meter pool. I could do that underwater easily.
Nice.
And there was actually a 25-meter, but I could do it two and a half times.
Mm-hmm.
And I built my lung capacity up there. Swimming is also fantastic. Water, in any shape or form, having a bath, having a shower, swimming, sea, whatever, water is very healing. To me, it's one of the big, big healers. If somebody's got a sick or cold or sinuses or anything, go have a hot bath. A lot of people tell me they don't have baths anymore in this day and age. But it's a pity because it's a really, really, really good thing. If I get sick, which is very rare now, if I get sick, one of the first things I do is go set myself a hot bath, put a whole lot of salt in it, a couple of essential oils, and I just completely switch off, relief and release. I put my whole head underwater, so just enough to breathe, and I just relax completely. I let everything relax. And I'm almost completely healed by the time I walk out. Doesn't mean that the symptom doesn't come back an hour or so later.
Right.
But during the bath time, you get a huge amount of relief and release. And I can almost overcome any headache pain,
A release is big. I mean, I don't care if you're doing it temporarily. A release is still a release. And that's always a good thing.
The release puts you into the place, as far as Abraham Hicks is into the place of no pain, where if you milk that no pain, if you milk the enjoyment of being out of pain, because it really is a contrast feeling,
right,
which you really can milk, then you just think about it, how enjoyable and how beautiful it is. I didn't know that. I didn't have that extra string to my bow at the time, many of these things, which is what I wanted to try to talk about, the contrast between how I saw it then and how I see it now.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to really milk it now has been a huge benefit to me. Absolutely massive. Quite life-changing. And because I'm focusing so much more on what I want and so little on what I don't want, what happens is I never get sick almost anymore.
That's a good thing.
Which doesn't really bother me because I've learned to enjoy being sick.
Okay. I'm sitting here saying, not for me, thank you.
Yeah. And that means you're not really fully grasping step 5.
You're talking about the 5-step processes described by Abraham and diving
Correct.
back into the contrast.
Correct. So when you realize that when you're going through what you don't want, immediately recognizing, this is helping me expand. This is good for me. How's it helping me? What's the rocket of desire that comes out of that?
Well, I think I just said that.
Yeah. No, I was just explaining it in a little more detail.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
So, no, I'm completely agreeing. So, it's really, really, really enjoyable for me now to get sick, and it's, how do I put it? I don't get sick anymore, but I used to enjoy getting sick. So that used to actually make me sick a little bit now and again.
Sure.
I enjoy it.
I mean,
it's enjoying playing with the contrast, not necessarily the sickness. It's enjoy going from, wow, look how quickly I can turn this ailment into no ailment, into relief and release. Yeah. And it was the belief in my own ability, which is what I was trying to get to all along. And I was trying to paint a picture of how I got there. Mm-hmm. Confidence in my health and my body. All right. And, a doctor can say anything to me and I question them, and I will discuss things with them in many different ways, and I will very rarely take their advice. Okay. But I do have a lot of time and respect for them when I feel it's appropriate. And they do. So to amplify that exact statement, I'm going to give you an example of what happened to me.
Okay.
Now, I'm trying to give you an idea of how confident I am with my body, and I'm not suggesting that anybody else does this. Okay? I'm just suggesting that this is what I did, and I did it because of an incredible confidence about my health and my body. Now, I woke up one morning with a pain in my stomach, and I thought, okay, knowing what I don't want, I'm very good at turning these things around. I lay there and I try to remove it. So I worked with my energy techniques and everything else I knew, and lying in a bath and doing all the other stuff that I know, and nothing shifted it. I thought, wow, this is interesting. This is very interesting. And I worked in it more, and then I worked in it for a whole night the next night. I worked in it I think I slept for about half an hour. Woke up the next morning, I said to my wife, darling, I'm going to the doctor. She said, what? You're going to the doctor? I said, I'm going to the doctor. I said, I'm pretty sure I've got appendicitis. She said, what? I said, yep. She said, you know what you're doing? She said, go for it if that's what you want to do. So I went to the doctor, and I go into the doctor and I sit down and I try and play dumb. Doctor, I've got a pain here. That's all I said. Mm-hmm. And he feels around, and I jump when he pushes my appendix place, which is generally not on the other side and not the same side where the actual appendix is, where the pain generally is. Blah, 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 blah. And he says to me, you've got appendicitis. I said, yeah, I thought I might. Mm. And he says, I'm booking you straight into the hospital right now. I said, you can do that, but I'm going on holiday in 3 days. He says, no, you're not.
Okay.
So I said, okay. My wife doesn't drive, so a friend of mine who I learnt Jinshin from, who's just up the road from me, gave me a lift to the hospital. And when I was there, she gave me a treatment, and they took one look at my face, and the doctor's report I had with me, and they moved me straight into one of the emergency doctors to look at me straight away. So the doctor looked at me straight away and said, yep, you've got appendicitis. We're prepping you for the operation in the morning. And I said, fine. They put me on a drip. I wasn't allowed to eat anything. That's fine. I don't mind. So my friend gave me a treatment. I gave myself a treatment. I took some of the nutrition and minerals and vitamins and other things that I'd normally take. Then I sat down with my phone and I looked up all the contraindications, which means the other things that it could be if this was a pain in that area. Mm-hmm. And I said, so I was, when the doctor came, I could ask him, could it possibly be this? Could it possibly be that?
Right.
I want to be sure.
Sure.
I don't want to go and have an appendix operation.
Absolutely not. No.
There's no appendix there. So I went and got up in the next morning. I'm in hospital. I'm in the high monitoring ward where they got an eye on you all the time. And the doctor came in, but he didn't come in alone. He came in with an entourage of 9 people.
Wow.
So this is a classic patient. I am guessing is going on in his head. He's going in for an appendix operation. I'm just going to have a quick chat to him. You can all come watch how it's done. This is what I was guessing was going on in his head.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes up to me, and I'm asking him, well, what are these guys here? He says, no, they're just learning. They're just watching me. He's a surgeon. The guy has come to me, and he lies me back, and he starts feeding my stomach, and I go, ouch. And he said, yeah. And I started asking him, could it be this? Could it be that? And by the time I was finished with my 5 things that it could have been, he was really annoyed with me.
Of course, you were showing up in front of his patient or his pupils.
He was not happy about all this.
Yeah. Mm.
But I said to him, I'm not going in there unless I'm clear about what it is. And I said to him, I'm actually not going to go in. And he looked at me. He said, why not? I said, because I feel better than I did last night. And he said, oh, okay. I said, I want you to hold off on the operation till this afternoon. And then you can have a look again, and we can take it from there. So he was arguing with me, said, tap me on the shoulder, Louis, you really should go in for the operation. It's very dangerous.
Fatherly advice, isn't that nice?
Yeah. And I said to him, no, I'm not going in for the operation. I said, I felt better. And if I continue feeling better, I'm gonna. I said, yeah, 14. Did you know 14% of people don't have the operation? I think it's 14.
I never heard that.
I looked it up on the internet, and they said about 14% of the people who go in for the operation don't have it because they start getting better. So I said to him, "Did you know that?" And he begrudgingly said yes. Well, he couldn't really say no.
Well, he could, but
he could argue that it was 15, or 12, or 10, or whatever.
0 would have been a tough sell, I think.
Yeah. So. He came around in the afternoon again, still the same doctor, and he, some reason or other, only had an entourage of 4 this time.
Ah, yes. Well, he had learned the first time. He was a smart doctor, you see. He knew when to bring in the interns and when not to bring in the interns.
So he starts feeling around my stomach again. There's still a lot of pain there, but only when he presses. When he doesn't press, there's not much pain at all.
Mm.
And I was getting better from this morning. So I said to him, I'm feeling better than this morning, and I don't want the operation. And he says to me, Lou, you really should have the operation. But what he does, I thought was quite funny. He starts pressing hard on the sore spot. Really hard.
I think this is known as business development. No, I'm sorry.
So I have incredibly strong stomach muscles because of my breathing, okay? So I just created a solid wall above his hand, and I stared at him in his eyes, and I did nothing. I said nothing. I just stared at him in his eyes, and he was trying to push down, and he couldn't go anywhere through the solid wall of muscle. And I just looked at him, and he looked at me, and he shook his head, and he said, okay, we will wait till tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's funny. But of course, I hope you were laughing at some point in here, because that's healing too.
It was. I have to admit, when I was going in to the hospital with my friend, who was a Jinshin practitioner, I was saying to her, I don't know what's going to happen. I am scared. Okay?
Understandably.
And I don't know what's going to happen. She said, just roll with it. Play the dice whenever it's there. Okay? Just roll with it. And great advice.
Mm.
Great advice, because I didn't know second to second what was going to happen.
Sure.
I said to the doctor the first time when I said we wait till the afternoon, I said to him, if it gets worse, believe me, I'm the first person who's going to call you.
Makes sense.
I will call you. You do your So it wasn't like I was totally against having the arm. I would have had it if I didn't feel I was getting better.
Well, I don't think you would have been in the hospital if you didn't feel like halfway like this might be something I need to have done. You'd be at home. You'd be off doing something else or whatever.
The interesting thing was I know my body so well and I work with energy so well that when I couldn't heal it, I immediately made the decision to go to a doctor.
Mm.
Okay, so I know my limitations. I know when it's probably good to get an outside opinion.
Sure.
Okay, so it's not like I was saying doctors are bad, that this is not a good thing to do, and everybody should do what I do. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that you just roll the dice step by step by step.
Right.
And if you're confident enough, you can do what I'm doing, but not many people can do this, okay? I don't believe too many can do this. So if they can, I'm impressed. I'm seriously impressed. And it's really, so what happened was the wait until next morning was a completely different doctor.
The first one had enough of you.
I just think it was, not his turn.
Different shift. Okay.
Different shift. I think
we'll be generous then. We'll say yes. That's
yeah, maybe it was who knows? And he checked me out, and I stayed another day, and it was just getting better and better. And by the end of the third day, I said, "Well, I'm off to Austria now." And I'm booking myself out of the hospital. And the guy said, "Well, can't stop you, bye." That's what he said. And
such a warm bedside manner there. Can't stop you.
Your body, go for it. But this is what a lot of people don't know when they're in front of a doctor. They think the doctor knows everything.
No, I learned that a while ago.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that you can argue and say, "I'm not having this." And, take responsibility for where you're going, what you're doing,
I learned it when I was paying attention to all the different studies, which I've since stopped paying attention to. All the different studies for, success rates in treating cancers and treating heart disease and treating this and that and the other thing. And I realized their failure rate was much higher than their success rate. And that's when I realized they know a lot less than we think that they do. They think they know a lot. We think that they know a lot. But when you look at the results, not so much.
Yeah, so the medical profession aren't helping a lot because of what? You go to a doctor, you say you've got this problem, and what do they do? What do they say?
Open your mouth and say, what do you have in mind?
Well, most of the time they dig around on the problem, don't they?
Yeah, that's true.
They're playing on the problem, and they're not focused much on solution. The interesting thing is, and why tablets are sometimes quite effective, is the solution seems to be a tablet. So all the faith seems to go into a tablet.
Well, faith is the word.
This tablet will help you.
Yeah.
This one will relieve.
Well, faith is the word. You chose exactly the right word because that's what it is. It's the belief factor, which I would love. I don't know what your plan is. I know you want to do a few shows on health and the law of attraction. I would hope that part of that includes a discussion about placebo because I think that's a fascinating topic.
Well, placebo is a very short topic for me because placebo is man coming to understand that thoughts create your reality. It's nothing more or less in my mind.
Well, yeah. I mean, the simple topics are always really simple to describe, and then we spend hours and weeks and days talking about them. Except not today because we only have about 30 seconds left before the music. But but that's all right. We'll keep the conversation going next week. So we're going to continue to do this with next week's episode.
Absolutely. I've got a lot more.
All right, good.
To talk about on health, and I haven't even started touching on a lot of things that I wanted to bring up.
All right. Okay. Well,
I just want everybody to really feel the confidence that it's your body, guys. It's your body.
That's right. Yeah.
You create your own reality and you heal yourself. So really have the confidence, trust yourself, and you'll be surprised what will come out of it.
So good final words right there. Louis, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to continuing the conversation a week from today.
Fantastic. Love chatting, Will.
All right. We'll talk to you all next time as well here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.